Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for joining today. We'd like to seek the good wishes and the blessings of Radha Krishna, Krishna Balaram, Gauritaj, Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, so that we continue with the overview of the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th cantos. Today, hopefully, we'll try to cover 2 chapters, 76 and 77. So this is a verse from this chapter, text number 4. Iti muda patigyaya devam pasupatim prabhavam aradhyam asanupa pamshu mushtim sakrat krisham. Translation is, having thus made his vow, the foolish king proceeded to worship Lord Pashupati, that's Lord Shiva, as his deity by eating a handful of dust each day and nothing more. So this is another devotee of Lord Shiva wanting to get something from him and doing some tapasya, which is really unnecessarily austere. So this chapter is called the battle between Shalva and the Vishnees. It relates how the demon Shalva acquired a huge and terrifying airship, and how he used it to attack the Vishnees in Dwarka, and how Lord Pradyumna was taken from the battlefield during the fight that ensued. Yes, Riyansh?
Roger, actually, I was reading this chapter in my Krishna book, so I got very happy when I read it.
Okay, okay, good. Well done, well done.
I want to hear it again. I always decide that. That's why now.
Okay, so correct me where I make mistakes or if I miss something out. So Shalva worships Lord Shiva to get a weapon of mass destruction. He was a friend of Shishupal, who was one of the kings who was defeated at the time of Rukmini Devi's marriage. So at that time, having vowed then that he would rid the earth of all the Yadavas, he began worshipping Lord Shiva each day. So this is really sacrifice in the mode of ignorance, where you do some tapasya to destroy somebody, because you're not just destroying, or you won't destroy that person, you'll destroy yourself. Anyway, he was doing this tapasya, and his tapasya was very severe. Each day he would eat a palmful of dust. After a year had passed, Lord Shiva appeared before Shalva and asked him to choose a benediction. Shalva begged for a flying machine that could go anywhere and that would strike terror into the hearts of demigods, demons, and humans alike. So instead of asking for some nice benediction, the demoniac mentality, or the person who has a demoniac mentality will ask for something very destructive. And generally, they would ask that from Lord Shiva because he's Ashutosh, or he's easily pleased. And he'll give without necessarily looking at what the consequence might be of that blessing or that boon that he grants. So what does he do? Lord Shiva granted this request, and Maya Danava constructed for Shalva a flying iron city named Shobha. This unassailable vehicle was filled with darkness and could go anywhere. Shalva took this vehicle to Dwarka, where he and his huge army laid siege to the city. From his airplane, Shalva bombarded Dwarka with tree trunks, boulders, and other missiles, and he produced a mighty whirlwind that obscured everything with dust. So this is amazing, crazy stuff. No idea if this is what the Shobha looks like, but I thought we'd put something in just to give an idea.
I wanted to see that photo anyway, Prabhuji.
You what?
I wanted to see the photo of Shobha.
No idea if this is the one, but
No, it looks terrible, isn't it?
he looks terrible. So when Pradumna, Satyaki, and other Yadu heroes saw the plight of at this time, Krishna wasn't present. He was still in Hastinapur or Indraprastha.
Yesterday when I read also, it told that Krishna was in the Indraprastha, so he couldn't come.
Right. Excellent. Thank you for confirming that. So they saw the plight of Dwarka and the residents of Dwarka. So they went out to do battle with Shalva's forces. A tumultuous, hair-raising battle then commenced between Shalva's forces and the Yadus. It equaled the great battles between the demons and the demigods. The magic airship built by Maya Damnava appeared in many identical forms. So it could multiply itself. It was quite incredible. And the next moment, it was again only one. So it was really Maya's great creation, Maya Danava's great creation. Sometimes it was invisible, sometimes it was not invisible. Thus, Shalva's proponents could never be sure where it was. From one moment to the next, the Shobha airship appeared on the earth or in the sky or on the mountain peak or in the water. Like a whirling, flaming baton, it never remained in one place. The other commanders destroyed with their divine weapons all of Shalva's illusory magic, and they also bewildered Shalva himself. Thus, Shalva's airplane began wandering aimlessly on the earth, in the sky, and on top of mountains. But then a follower of Shalva named Druman, who has previously been wounded by Pradumna, he struck Pradumna on the chest with his club, whereupon Pradumna's chariot driver, the son of Daruka, so Daruka is the chariot driver of Krishna, and the son of Daruka is the chariot driver of Pradumna. Now, thinking his master, Pradumna, was seriously injured, he carried him out of drove him out of the battlefield on his chariot. Now, Pradumna, he regained consciousness quickly, and he actually severely criticized the driver for taking him out of the battlefield, because his reputation would now be stained for abandoning the battlefield, and people would laugh at him. But actually the driver, he replied that he only did his duty to protect Pradumna when he was in danger, and that is a fact. The duty of the chariot driver is to do what the master tells him, but also if the master is in danger, his duty is to protect the master. So he did the right thing, because Pradumna was struck on the chest by Dhuman's strike. Anyway, Pradumna was not pleased. So that's the end of chapter 77. So it's quite a short chapter, 33 verses. Let's go into chapter 78. Sorry, chapter 76 is finished, 77. Kwashoka mohau snehova vayam vayignya sambhava kwaka chakandita vijnana jnaneshwaryas tva kandita. How can lamentation, bewilderment, material affection, or fear, all born out of ignorance, be ascribed to the infinite Supreme Lord, whose perception, knowledge, and power are all similarly infinite? sometimes when the Lord comes to our world, he behaves just like an ordinary human being. He shows lamentation, bewilderment, affection, fear. But we have to understand that this is simply a show, because he is not affected by any of these things. He's completely transcendental, as are we, unless we're attached to this body and the connections to the body. So this chapter is called Lord Krishna Slays the Demon Shalva, and it describes how Krishna destroys it, and how he destroys his airship as well. So Padumna, after refreshing himself with water, putting on his armor and picking up his bow, ordered his driver to take his chariot once again into the presence of Duman. As Padumna fought with Duman and with 4 of his arrows, he struck Duman's 4 horses with 1 arrow, his driver with 2 more arrows, his bow and chariot flag, and with the last arrow, Duman's head. So Padumna defeated Duman. Other Yadu heroes like Gada, Satyaki, and Samba began to create havoc among Shalva's army, and the soldiers inside the airship began falling into the ocean, their necks severed. The battle continued in this way between the Yadus and Shalva's followers for 27 days and nights. So it was a long battle. It's a marathon. During this stage, Lord Krishna was still in Indraprastha.
Prabhuji,
Yes.
these 27 days and nights, are they spiritual or earthly?
I think there'll be earthly nights, our nights, our days and nights. Yeah. It won't be very in like the long heavenly time scale. During this siege, Krishna was in Indraprastha still, and now that the Rajasuya sacrifice had been completed and Shishupal killed, the Lord began to see inauspicious omens. So he took leave of the Kuru elders and the great sages, and also of Kunti Mata and her sons, and returned to Dwarka. The Lord thought King's partial to Shishupal may well be attacking his capital city. When Lord Krishna returned to Dwarka, he found it under siege by Shalva and his Soba airship. And Krishna saw how his people were threatened with destruction. Lord Keshava arranged for the city's defense and then ordered the Ruk to drive him onto the battlefield, warning the Ruk that Shalva is a powerful magician and to not let him bewilder the Ruk. Suddenly Shalva noticed that he noticed the Lord, and threw his spear, which lit up the whole sky like a mighty meteor, at Krishna's charioteer. But the Lord shattered the weapon into hundreds of pieces and pierced Shalva and his Shalva vehicle with numerous arrows. Shalva responded by shooting an arrow that struck Krishna's left arm. Amazingly, the Lord dropped the Sharanga bow he was holding in his left hand. So Shalva was a formidable warrior, and Krishna sort of gives him respect by being hit in the left arm and dropping his famous bow, Sharang bow. Those who witnessed this all cried out in dismay. Then the master of Shobha roared loudly and addressed Lord Janardhan, "You fool, because in my presence you kidnapped the bride of our friend Shishupal, your own cousin, and because you later murdered him in the sacred assembly while he was inattentive, today with my sharp arrows I will send you to the land of no return. Though you think yourself invincible, I will kill you now if you dare stand before me." So this is real arrogance by Shalva. The Supreme Lord replied, "O Dalad, you boast in vain, since you fail to see death standing near you. Real heroes do not talk much, but rather show their prowess in action. Having said this, the furious Lord swung his club with frightening power and speed and hit Shalva on the collarbone, making him tremble and vomit blood. But as soon as Lord Achyuta withdrew his club, withdrew his club. Withdrew his club. So he hit him, and then he withdrew his club. Shalva disappeared from sight. A moment later, a man came before Lord Krishna, and after his offering his obeisances, introduced himself as a messenger from Mother Devaki. The man informed the Lord that his father Vasudev has been kidnapped by Shalva. So this is again the Maya illusory trick of Shalva. Upon hearing this, Lord Krishna seemed to lament like an ordinary man, stating that how did Balaram become, who is ever so vigilant, and no demigod or demon can defeat him? How could this insignificant Shalva defeat Balaram and abduct my father? Indeed, fate is all powerful. So Lord Krishna is lamenting. But of course, this is a matter of show. It's not a lamentation due to the inadequacies of the Lord. Shalva then led forward someone who looked like Vasudeva, decapitated him, and took his head with him onto his Shobha airship. For a moment, out of great affection for his loved ones, Krishna remained absorbed in the mood of an ordinary human being. However, he could understand that this was simply a magic trick of Shalva. Now alert to the actual situation, Lord Achyuta saw before him on the battlefield neither the messenger nor his father's body. It was as if he had awakened from a dream. Seeing his army flying above him in his Shobha plane, the Lord then prepared to kill him. So this is Lord was seeing Shalva in his plane, and he was preparing to kill. Thus he pierced Shalva with a shower of arrows and struck the Shobha vehicle with his club, demolishing it. Shalva descended from the aeroplane and rushed towards Lord Krishna to attack him, but the Lord took up his Sudarshan disc and severed Shalva's head from his body. Then the demigods in the sky played kettle drums in jubilation. The demon Dantavakra then took a vow to avenge his friend Shalva's death. So this is the end of Shalva. This is the aeroplane here, or the city. Shobha's his aeroplane. And there's Lord Krishna giving Shalva a hard time. So that's the end of chapter 77. Any questions, any comments? Otherwise, we can go to the...
Terrible, Salva, isn't it?
Yes,
So powerful, Prabhuji.
Sorry?
Shalva so powerful and so terrible.
Terrible.
So the demon, isn't he?
He was crazy. So
he was a demon, but Shishupal, he was a human. He was not a demon, Shishupal. But he had...
Shishupal was... no, he was acting like a demon. He was acting.
Yeah, but yeah. Shalva was actually a demon.
Yeah.
Oh, terrible, man.
Yeah. He certainly gave Krishna, like the Lord likes these confrontations, because in the spiritual world, he doesn't get the opportunity to fight. So he comes to this world and he makes use of this world to the fullest extent. So he enjoys a fight with the demons. So yeah, no doubt Shalva was crazy, but the Lord, he does enjoy the fights.
Hare Krishna, it's a unique picture with Krishna holding the bow. I've never seen that. Krishna is always with the flute,
Yeah, this is actually more.
isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. But it's more Vishnu. It's more Vasudeva.
Yeah. Yeah.
Krishna left his flute like after leaving Vrindavan. Krishna didn't play the flute, and it was Vasudeva Krishna who left
Oh.
Vrindavan. And this is more Vasudeva Krishna who is fighting. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. It's just that the bow makes you feel
Yeah.
it looks like Ram, but
Yeah.
it's not. It's Krishna.
But
Thank
also
you, Haribo.
the Sharang bow is very famous for Krishna.
Yeah.
He's well known for that. He's got a few names after that bow actually. So, okay. So, Surinder, anything you'd like to comment?
Yes, Hare Krishna, Dandavat everybody. Shri Nityananda Chandram Patita Sharanadam Gauradam Tam Bhajeham. Yes, so a few things we can refer from Prema Vivarta. There is two important verses. So I'll recite one of them and the second one after. Parahimsa kapatatta anyasane vaira kabhu nahi kara bhai yadi mora vakya dhara. Never behave enviously, deceitfully, or inimically with others. Brother, if you want to follow my advice, Nirjana Sudridha Bhakti Kara Alochana Krishna Sevara Sambandhe Dina Karaha Yapana. Discuss resolute devotion in seclusion and spend your days engaged in the service of Krishna. So this is a main point. Like here we see Salva, he's got these demonic qualities, and he's thinking of causing harm to others. And whereas devotees, Vaishnavas, they're always thinking of doing good to others, especially by distributing Krishna consciousness. Because Krishna consciousness, distribution of Krishna consciousness is the ultimate good for everybody, for one and all. And we have this statement by our Param Gurudev in one of the bhajan. He says, Vishambhara Vishwera Kalyana, that our prayer is directed towards, in this mood, Vishambhara, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Vishwera, the whole world, Kalyana, means will bestow mercy and bring good fortune. So this is our prayer. And as soon as we recite this verse, Vishambhara Vishwera Kalyana, then there will be no way we will become envious or inimical or deceitful towards others. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, one should not be disturbed by others and one should not disturb others. In chapter 12, in Bhagavad Gita, under the title of devotional service, this one of he describes many of the qualities of the devotees, and while reciting these qualities, he says that the devotees do not disturb others and they are not disturbed by others. So in this way, by practicing Krishna consciousness, we will be in harmony, in peace, and in pure love. We aspire pure love of Krishna, and we want to chant Sudhanam and practice Sudha Bhakti. This is our eternal aspiration. Nitai Gaura Haribol Prabhu, thank you very much.
Thank you. Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
That was lovely, Prabhuji.
Very
That was
nicely
lovely.
put.
Very nice, Surendra Prabhuji.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you. Nitai Gaura Haribol. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Madhusudan Prabhu.
Haribol, Hare Krishna. Yeah, it's quite, this part where Salva gains so much power and actually wants to revenge and stand up for his friend Shishupal and all that. And it's amazing to the length, and to the extent to which he goes to. So we learn in these two chapters, we learn of Salva, friend of Shishupal, who swore in the presence of all the kings, that I will rid the earth for the others. Just see my prowess. So he wants to show how strong he is, and like we say, you know, he actually looks like a demon. But Shishupal, like Mataji was saying, Shishupal was like more like human, but they're all actually just human-like, and whether they have demoniac features and all that, it's not but it's just the mentality, you know, it's their thinking, and that causes them to become demoniac in their behavior as well. And so whatever they may look like, who knows what they're looking like or anything. But for certain, you know, in those days, Kali Yuga, you know, people have got smaller and smaller, and in the previous yugas, you know, they were more like giants, in fact, you know. So, you know, with Bhima and Arjuna, and they must be in stature so huge, actually, I think. But you know, we think they're just ordinary humans like us, because this is what we are, you know, at the moment. So relative to us, whatever we think, you know, but certainly, you know, when he also starts worshiping Lord Shiva for more powers to do so. So to get more power, you go to someone like Lord Shiva, and he's called Ashutosa, which means he's very easily pleased. But he knows he'll give benedictions, and it's, you know, sometimes he doesn't think what the consequences will be, but he has to, because that's, you know, people have come to worship him, so he has to reward them for his worship. And this Salva, I mean, he only ate dirt, dust, or something every day. I mean, having thus made his way, wow, the foolish king proceeded to worship Lord Pashupati, Shiva, as his deity by eating a handful of dust. And who can do that? Nothing more. Just eating dirt and dust and staying alive for such a long time. And then, amazingly, to what extent, you know, he's going to show the prowess. And then Lord Shiva knows that, you know, these benedictions won't actually stand up against Lord Krishna if it is trying to become an enemy of Krishna. So it's not going to work, but he has to still give his benediction. So Lord Shiva did not come to Salva for an entire year. So he let him eat this dust for a year. And then Lord Shiva, you know, appears in this, being pleased to try to give him his benediction. So being Bhagavan, he's also Supreme Lord, you know, I mean, he's got amazing power, Lord Shiva, you know, he's a great, and he's all-knowing, and also, you know, personality. He understood that any benediction given to Lord Krishna's enemies would be fruitless anyway. So we also learn how Krishna's son Pradyumna did not like being removed from the battlefield by his charioteer, because he's a Kshatriya. So he doesn't like to be, you know, while he was unconscious, his Kshatriya his charioteer, I mean, charioteer makes a decision to just take him out of the battlefield. But to him, it's a bit of a insult in a way. So, oh, driver, this is abominable for me to have been removed from the battlefield. So he starts to think that, you know, this is not a good thing to happen to a Kshatriya. So, but these sort of battles, you know, which is, you know, obviously Salva comes to his end, but Krishna's Sudarshan Chakra again, just like Shishupal. But we see how these sort of battles are going on. I mean, who needs things like Star Wars? You know, I was looking at Star Wars, and I used to see the film, there's interplanetary battles, airships built of, there's a whole planet-like thing. There's a whole city built of iron and all that. And I think, did they get their ideas from here or what, you know? But these sort of battles have gone on, you know, over the century. And we forget that this is all actually happening in a day of Brahma.
True.
You know, all these things, incidents to us, it is, oh, you know, they fought for 20 or so many days. But it's nothing compared to what, you know, I mean, just like we're talking today, you know, Putin is attacking Ukraine now. and it's happening in our lifetime, you know. In a day, in a couple of days' time, the war might be over, or who knows what the consequences will be.
Yeah.
But compared to Salva, we can see where likes of Putin are nothing. Anyway, Haribo.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Good.
Right.
Correct.
Prabhupada, yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else? Anything else? Anybody like to comment? Or... Okay, so let's stop there. And Srimad Bhagavatam. Oops.